Well, hello, boys and girls. Lovely to be with you again. I hope you're having a really good week at school and everything's going really well. And I'm going to talk to you about something a little bit different today. I'm not going to tell you a story from the Bible, but I'm going to tell you about an adventure I went on a couple of years ago. Now, I don't know about you, but I like visiting new places. And I like exploring things because I like to learn about how the world is different in different places. And sometimes, you know, we can go to a long way away and we can find ourselves in a place that's very, very different from how things are at home. But sometimes when you meet the people and you get talking to them, you realise that some things are quite the same. Now, a few years ago, I went all the way to Africa. Now, Africa is a huge continent, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that up on the screen now so you can see some of these pictures. There we go. I hope you can still hear me, but there's Africa. It's a huge continent, and if I move my little mouse up here, and hopefully you can see that, we live up here in Europe, and I went all the way down to this place here called Ethiopia in Africa. And I met some wonderful people there who at one level were quite different from me, but on another level were very, very similar, and we had lots in common. And I'm going to show you a picture of somebody who I met there, and we share something in common. Let me show you the picture. Now, look at this interesting chap. He's got a really interesting hat, and I love his beard, and he's wearing that really fabulously bright yellow robe. And do you know what we've got in common? I'll tell you what he and I have in common. He's actually a priest. He's a vicar, and he looks after one of the churches in Ethiopia, because in Ethiopia, like in the UK, there are lots and lots of Christians, but their churches, they're quite different from our churches here in England, but we believe the same thing. So it was really great to go as a guest and make friends with all these really interesting people. Now, some of you might have been to the churches in this country, and you may remember coming up to the church here in the village that's up on the hill. But churches in Ethiopia, well, they look quite different from our churches at home. Let me show you a picture of a very famous church in Ethiopia, and it's the Church of St. George. Now, this is interesting because St. George is also the patron saint of England, but this is the church in Ethiopia that is the Church of St. George. And if you look very carefully, you can see that the church is in the shape of a cross. And right down at the bottom there, there's two people who are at the doorway of the church. And that's because in Ethiopia, they're famous for their churches, which have been carved out of solid rock. This church has been made by people using a hammer and chisel and carving it completely out of the rock around them. Whereas the church we have here in Handley, that's actually been built with stones and built up. And this is a really beautiful church, and I was really lucky to go to that church. But not all churches in Ethiopia are carved out of rock. Some of them are made of stones, but they're a very different shape from our churches. Here's another church I went to. Lots of Ethiopian churches are round. I don't know if you can see this. Look, it's a beautiful round church, and it's got a thatched roof. We see thatched roofs in our village, and at the top it has a cross, and you can see the vicar or the priest just standing there in the doorway. And they're really beautiful inside. I mean, all churches, I think, are beautiful inside, but Ethiopian churches are amazing. And the reason for that is inside on the walls, they paint the most beautiful paintings. And the paintings are all of Bible stories that we read of in the Bible. Let me show you one of those paintings. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? Look at the beautiful, bright colours. I wonder if you can work out what this painting is. It's a story in the Bible, and it's one of the stories I really, really like. Let's have a look. The person who's kneeling down on the floor there, and he has that sort of red ring around his head, that's Jesus. And look what he's doing. He's washing somebody's feet, the disciples' feet. And if you look very carefully, all of these people who are standing around Jesus are the disciples. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's because Jesus had 12 disciples. So this is a beautiful picture or painting that's on the wall of those churches, and they cover all the walls telling the story of Jesus. So it's really great when we get to visit new places, because we can learn a lot about how people live and how people live differently from us. But also I got to learn that lots of things were similar, that we were both Christians, and I got to talk to the vicars and the priests, and I asked them about what it was like to be and live in their villages and communities. And one of the questions I asked them is, what's it like to work with young people in your village or community? What do the young people do? Well, in Ethiopia, the young people are very, very involved with their churches. It's a really important thing for them. They do lots of fun things. And several times a year, the Ethiopians have very, very big celebrations. They have one just after Christmas in January called Timcat. We would call it Epiphany in this country. And in this country at Epiphany time, we think about the 3 wise men, you know, the 3 kings who come bringing gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And in Ethiopia, they think about the story of Jesus being christened or being baptized. And it's a fantastic excuse for everybody to have a big celebration and to get dressed up. And I just thought this was fantastic. I got to take part in this, and it was just wonderful. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures now of some of the young people all dressed up. They get to wear the most amazing outfits. Have a look at this. So here we are. Here's a group of young people from one church. Look at the amazing outfits they've got. All these white robes with gold, and they're all wearing special crown. I think these young people here are probably a little bit older than you. They'll probably be at the sort of age that are secondary school age. They're probably early teenagers. But they're all taking part in the festival. And I love the way they're really smiling and happy and how much fun they're having. It was great. And they sung beautifully. They sung special songs that they had learned. Let me show you another picture. Here's some younger children, probably about your age. And what's really interesting is each of the church groups, they all get together in the big town. It would be like us going to Salisbury and all of the local schools and the local churches having a big procession in Salisbury. And each of the churches and each of the groups of young people, they all have special colours. They wear a special colour which represents the church or their village that they're from. I wonder in Handley what colour we would like to wear. What colour do you think we should wear if we were doing a big procession like that? Now, if you look in their hands, they're holding something. They're holding a special stick, which is called a prayer stick, but they're holding something else. And guess what? Let me just show you. I've got one here. It's an instrument, and I got given this when I was in Ethiopia. And this is what the young people are holding. And when they sing the songs, they do this. A bit like sort of instruments. I've only got one, but you can imagine if everybody had these instruments, and there's also sort of trumpets that blow and all sorts of things, everybody makes a noise. And I got given one of these when I was in Ethiopia. So it's really good, I think, to be able to explore and meet other people who can be quite different from us. They might look quite different. They might wear different clothes. And the places where they live may look very different from what we're used to here in Handley. But what I found was when I got to meet these people and I got to talk to them, we had lots in common. We were all very interested in about how we live and work, and we talked about the food that we eat. I got to visit some of the schools, and the schools, even though they look quite different, they were very much the same. They were full of young people like you who were enjoying their lessons and having fun and playing games. And they taught me some of the games that they play. So if you get a chance to go somewhere different or interesting, it can be great because you can learn an awful lot. Or maybe you might get to meet somebody different who lives in our own village or something like that, who comes from a different country, and you can get to talk to them and you can ask them about all sorts of things and learn amazing things like that. When I was much younger, your age, I always hoped that I'd get to travel around the world and meet lots of different people. And I've done a bit of that, luckily, and it was very good that I managed to go all the way to Africa to meet these wonderful people. And I hope to be able to do it again. Now, the final thing I want to show you, which I got given, is this. And if you remember the picture at the beginning that I showed you of the vicar in Ethiopia, the priest in Ethiopia, he was holding a cross. And I got given one of these because if you're a vicar in Ethiopia, you have one of these in your pocket all the time. And what happens is, as you walk around the village, if you see somebody from your village, you take your cross out of your pocket and you sort of wave it in front of them like that. And it's giving them a blessing. It's saying, may God be with you. It's just a friendly thing to do. And I watched the priests and the vicars doing this with people as they walk round. And one of the priests gave me this lovely cross so that I can do that with my own lovely people here in Handley. So I'm going to finish my little talk today by just giving you all a blessing with my Ethiopian cross. May God bless you all, and may you have a wonderful day. Well, thanks for listening, boys and girls, and I hope you really liked that. And I'd encourage you to maybe share some stories of places that you've been to that are different and where you've met different people and you've learned something new. And it'd be really great, because I love sharing all of that, because we live in a fantastic world with many different people and many different types of cultures and understandings. And it's really great when we can share all of that together. Well, have a good day, and I look forward to speaking to you next week.